How old are you right now? If you're somewhere between 65 and 75, this message is for you. What you're about to hear could change the next 10 years of your life. Last year, you could open the jar. This year, suddenly you can't. Last year, the stairs were stairs. This year, they're a decision. Last year, you called a friend without thinking. This year, you think about it, and you don't. Most people your age believe this is just how it is now, that this version of you is permanent. There are 4 real reasons, 4 small things that change everything. 10 years from now, you'll look back at this Tuesday afternoon and know it was the day something quietly turned. If you're watching this at 67, 70, 73, you're already doing the one thing most people your age don't. You're paying attention. Stay with me. It isn't. These 10 years have a name. I call them the expensive years. The decade when ordinary life starts asking more from you than it used to. Before we get to the 4 reasons, there's something most people miss. These 4 reasons aren't 4 separate problems. They're 4 faces of one quiet shift happening in the front of your brain. The part that wants, the part that tries, the part that says yes to the new thing. It doesn't break in this decade, it just gets quieter. And when that part gets quiet, 4 things follow, almost always in the same order. This is the expensive years. Not because you've lost anything, because everything costs a little more than it used to. The first one is the one you feel before you ever name it. A man named Robert, 72, walks into his kitchen in Phoenix on a Tuesday morning. He picks up a grocery bag from the counter. He's carried bags like this for 50 years. This one feels heavier than it should. He sets it down. He tells himself he'll come back for it. He doesn't come back for it for 3 hours. A walk to the corner store that felt easy last summer can suddenly feel as far as climbing a trail in Colorado. That's what makes this part of the expensive years so quiet. It doesn't announce itself. Most people think of frailty as a body problem. The CDC reports that 1 in 4 Americans over 65 falls every year. And research published in the journals of gerontology found that 15% of older adults living at home are already frail, with another 45% moving toward it. But here's what those numbers don't show you. The muscle didn't go first, the wanting went first. The reason a 72-year-old in Phoenix or Pittsburgh or anywhere stops carrying his own groceries isn't that the muscle disappeared overnight. The muscle disappears because the wanting disappeared a year earlier. You stop reaching for the top shelf, so the shoulder gets weaker, so you stop reaching even more. After 70, the rate of muscle loss can roughly double, but only if you stop using what you have. So here's the smallest thing. Not a gym, not a routine. 30 seconds. Sit in a chair, put a small towel under your bare feet, curl your toes and pull the towel towards you. 30 seconds once a day. This isn't about getting stronger. It's about waking up the part of your foot that talks to your brain, the part that tells you the floor is real, that your weight is yours, that you can stand without thinking about it. Most falls in this decade don't start with a slip. They start with a hesitation. Here's the part nobody tells you. Every person has a fixed energy budget. After 65, the budget shrinks. After 70, it shrinks again. The mistake isn't getting tired. The mistake is not knowing your number. A 73-year-old in Asheville who knows she has 4 hours of real energy in a day and spends them on what matters will live longer and live better than a 73-year-old who pretends he still has 8. So today, watch yourself. Notice the moment your body says no. Don't fight it. Don't shame it. Just notice the time. That's your number. Your body isn't betraying you. It's asking for a different conversation than the one you've had with it for 50 years. Here's a scene you've probably watched in your own home. It's 4 in the afternoon on a Tuesday in Madison or Cleveland or anywhere with a quiet street. Your wife is out with friends. You can hear her laughing on the phone before she leaves. You're in the living room. The TV is on. You weren't planning to stay home. You just didn't plan to leave. This isn't personality. This is biology making a quiet shift. After 65, men and women start to drift in different directions. Women, on average, keep going out, keep calling, keep gathering. Men, on average, stay home more, then almost always. It isn't laziness. It isn't depression. It's a hormonal change happening underneath the surface, and most couples never see it coming until it's already there. AARP's most recent loneliness survey found that 4 in 10 American adults over 45 say they feel lonely. 4 in 10. And the number stays high through every decade past 65. The dangerous part isn't the loneliness itself. It's that the part of your brain that used to push you out the door, the part that wanted to see people, is the same part that's getting quieter. So you don't feel like calling. So you don't call, so fewer people call you, so you feel like calling even less. That's not a friendship problem, that's a feedback loop. Here's what the people who get this decade right do differently. They stop trying to make new best friends. It's too late and too tiring, and that's okay. What they build instead is something smaller. 3 loose connections. Not 3 close ones, 3 loose ones. The barista at a coffee shop in Asheville who knows your name. The neighbor 2 doors down in Tampa who waves when you take out the trash. The librarian in Madison who recommends books you'd never pick up. 3 small connections repeated every week. That's the floor. That's what keeps you from disappearing. You don't need depth at 70. You need frequency. There's something almost no one teaches us about being alone. There are 2 kinds of alone. The first is loneliness, when other people left and you didn't choose it. The second is solitude, when you chose the quiet and the quiet feeds you. Before 65, most people only ever know the first one. The work of this decade is learning the second. A 70-year-old who can sit alone with a book on a Sunday morning and feel full instead of empty has done something most people half her age can't do. The world isn't shrinking. Your relationship to silence is changing. That's different, and it's something you can learn. Before we go to the third reason, I want to hear from you. How old are you, and where are you watching from? And which of the first 2 reasons hit closest? The body that hesitates, or the world that shrinks? Drop 1 word in the comments. Just 1. Other people watching this video are walking the same decade you are, and they're going to read what you write. That 1 word is how you tell someone in Tampa or Phoenix or Cleveland that they're not alone. A woman named Margaret, 71, slips in her own bathroom in a house outside Cleveland on a Wednesday morning. She doesn't break anything. She lies on the cold tile floor for 40 minutes before she gets up. She doesn't tell her husband. She doesn't tell her daughter. She doesn't tell her doctor. She tells herself, "I'm fine. I just need to be more careful." 6 months later, she falls again. This time, she breaks her hip. This is the third reason 65 to 75 is the expensive decade, not the falling, the not telling. Surveys from AARP and the National Alliance for Caregiving have found that nearly a quarter of family caregivers between 65 and 74 are caring for a spouse. That share rises sharply once they cross 75, which means the same generation that needs help is the generation giving help to each other, quietly, until both of them break. There's a belief most of us carry into this decade without realizing it. It says, I took care of myself for 50 years. I took care of my children. I took care of my parents. Asking now would mean all of that was a lie. It isn't a lie. It's a stage. The hand that fed everyone for 50 years is allowed to be the hand that gets fed at 70. Here's a number to remember. 1-800-677-1116. That's the Elder Care Locator. It's free. It's run by the U.S. Administration for Community Living. You don't have to be sick to call it. You don't have to be in crisis. You can call it on a Tuesday morning when you just want to know what's available in your zip code. Monday through Friday, 8 in the morning to 9 at night, Eastern Time. Real people. Trained. Patient. Or look up your local area agency on aging. Every region has one, from Boston to Houston to Portland. Most people who live near one have never heard of it. This isn't welfare. This isn't charity. This is a system your taxes built, sitting on a shelf, waiting for someone to use it. Here's the reframe that changes this whole chapter. Asking for help isn't weakness. Asking for help is strategy. And strategy is the most mature form of love. The 71-year-old in Cleveland who picks up the phone and says, "I need to know what's available," that woman just bought 10 more years of being herself. The 71-year-old who insists she's fine, that woman just signed up for the version of this decade no one wants. You're not protecting your family by carrying it alone. You're handing them a heavier bill later. So this week, do one small thing. Call the number, or look up your local agency, or tell one person, your spouse, your daughter, your neighbor, one true thing about how you're actually doing. Not a complaint, not a confession, just one true sentence. That sentence is the door. Here's the fourth reason, the one that's hardest to see because it doesn't hurt. It looks like this: the same coffee shop, the same parking spot, the same chair at the same table, the same 3 TV shows, the same drive home from the same grocery store in the same part of town. You don't notice it. Nobody around you notices it. It feels like comfort. It isn't comfort. It's the brain going quiet. The front of the brain only really wakes up when something is new. A new street, a new face, a new dish you've never cooked, a new question you don't know the answer to. Older adults who keep introducing newness into ordinary days tend to hold on to their thinking longer than those who don't. It isn't about crossword puzzles. It's about real, lived novelty. The brain that meets nothing new starts to forget how to meet anything new. This is why some 75-year-olds in Austin or St. Louis feel sharper than 65-year-olds. They don't have better genes. They have a different relationship with sameness. They don't trust it. So here's the practice. Once a week, just once. One thing you've never done, one street you've never walked down, one restaurant you've never tried, one book by an author you've never read, one recipe you've never made. Not big, not impressive, just unfamiliar. A walk in a neighborhood 3 blocks from yours that you've never seen, whether you live in Tampa or Portland or St. Louis. A grocery store on the other side of town. A free lecture at the community college. A different bench in the same park. The rule is simple. Once a week for 30 minutes, your brain doesn't know what's coming next. 30 minutes a week is enough. The brain doesn't need a vacation. It needs a small, regular surprise. There's a sentence I want you to keep. Most people after 65 try to hold on to the one room they have. The work of this decade is the opposite. Adding rooms. A room for quiet. A room for one new person each season. A room for one thing you've never tried. The house gets bigger as the body gets smaller. That's not a metaphor. That's how the expensive years are supposed to go, when they go well. What you're losing is making space. What's leaving is making room for what's coming. You're not shrinking. You're just being asked, for the first time in your life, to choose what gets to stay. There's an old story I want to leave you with. It says that at the end of a person's life, 2 questions are asked. Most people assume the first question is, were you good to other people? It isn't. The first question is this: did your life bring you joy? Only after you answer that one does the second question come. And did your joy bring joy to others? Notice the order. Joy first, then giving. For most of us, that order feels backwards. We were taught to give first, to take care of everyone else first, to put ourselves last. It worked for a while. It got us to 65. But it doesn't work for the next 10 years. A person who has spent 50 years giving and never asks whether her own life brought her joy arrives at 70 empty, and from that emptiness she can't actually give anymore. Not really. She can only perform giving. The reason the expensive years feel so hard isn't because your body changed, or your friends thinned out, or your role disappeared. It's because, for the first time, you're being asked a question you postponed for 50 years. Did your life bring you joy? Not your children's lives? Not your spouse's life? Not your career, your house, your reputation, yours? And here's something I want you to hear before this ends because it's not a feeling, it's a fact. Between 65 and 75, the brain does not become useless. It becomes more expensive to operate. That's why I call them the expensive years. Not because of money, because the prefrontal cortex, the part that plans, decides, picks up the phone, says yes to the new thing, doesn't disappear. It just needs more effort to do the same work it used to do for free. A single phone call, a doctor's appointment, a small decision to leave the house can suddenly feel heavier than it should. You're not lazy. You're paying a higher price for what used to be automatic. The hippocampus, the part that holds new memory, new experience, also needs a stronger signal at this age. When every day is the same place, the same screen, the same conversation, it goes quiet. A small piece of newness wakes it back up. That's why one unfamiliar half hour matters more than people think. And the reward system, the part that whispers, should I, let's go, let's try, gets softer too. It isn't that you stopped loving people, it's that the push toward them got quieter. The friendship didn't fade. The signal toward the friendship did. Even the body's hesitation isn't really about muscle. Movement is a prediction the brain makes. When the brain decides a movement is safe and worth it, the body moves easily. After 65, the brain conserves energy more. So the stairs, the grocery bag, the front door, they all get a small pause in front of them that wasn't there before. You are not broken. Your brain is asking for smaller, clearer signals. That's why the 3 small things at the end of this video aren't habits. They're signals. 30 seconds of toe curls is a signal to your nervous system. I'm still here. It wakes up the floor under you. One unfamiliar half hour a week is a signal to the hippocampus and the prefrontal cortex. Today is not a repeat. That's all the brain needs to come back online. 10 minutes of something that's only yours is a signal to the reward system. There's still something worth reaching for. Not for someone else, for you. You are not trying to become young again. You're teaching an aging brain that life still has movement, novelty, and joy. So here's what I'd ask you to do before you close this video. 3 small things, nothing big. 1. 30 seconds of toe curls once a day to stay in conversation with your own body. 2. One unfamiliar half hour a week, a new street, a new dish, a new page, to stay in conversation with the world. 3. 10 minutes of something that's just yours. A book, a window, a cup of coffee where nobody asks you anything, to stay in conversation with yourself. That's it. 30 seconds, 30 minutes, 10 minutes. That's the whole prescription for the expensive years. The people who walk through this decade well and arrive at 80 still themselves, they have one thing in common. They got softer, not weaker, softer, kinder to other people, and finally, kinder to themselves. The expensive years are also the ones where you finally get to choose who you are, without the noise of who you were supposed to be. The job is gone. The role is fading. The titles are quieter. What's left is you. That's not a loss. That's the part you spent your whole life waiting to meet. This decade is a passage, not a destination. What feels like an ending is the beginning of the most honest part of your life. You are not broken. The old automatic life is no longer automatic. That's all. Now it asks for a small, clear intention from you. Once a day, once a week, once in the quiet. If something in this resonated, if you recognized yourself in one of these 4 reasons, or if it made you think of someone you love, leave a longer comment now. Tell me which of the 4 hit closest. Tell me what you're going to do this week. Even one small sentence. Other people in this comment section are walking the expensive years with you, and they'll read what you wrote. 10 years from now, you'll remember this Tuesday. You'll remember being the kind of person who paid attention. You're not alone in this. You never were. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself this week. Not because you have to, because you finally can.